Okay, so I really didn't expect The Witcher Season 4 to be good. My expectations were not high at all, and still it managed to disappoint me. I've seen bad shows before, but The Witcher Season 4 is the first one that felt like an endurance test. It's a show that looks you dead in the eye and dares you to keep watching, just to see how far it can fall. If Season 1 was a flawed gem, and Season 2 was a warning sign, then Season 4 is a smoking crater after the meteor hit. I went in with low expectations. Henry Cavill's gone. The showrunners have been ignoring the source material for years, and Netflix's fantasy department hasn't produced anything memorable since Arcane. But still, I hoped there'd be at least a spark left, one good monster fight, one emotionally grounded moment. Instead, I found the series staggering forward like a reanimated corpse, unaware that it's already dead. So let's address the elephant, or rather the Witcher in the room. Henry Cavill was the show. His presence carried the tone, the gravitas, the heart. He didn't just play Geralt, he understood Geralt, the quiet, burdened, morally complex man trying to stay human in a world that's forgotten how. Cavill's every grunt, glare, and sword swing had weight behind it. And to be fair, I don't envy Liam Hemsworth. He was in an unenviable position from the start. I don't know why he accepted the role. Maybe it's the money or whatever it was, but he had a really tough job ahead of him no matter what. And unfortunately, he walks into a role that was doomed before he even unsheathed his sword. The problem is not him necessarily, it's the writing. Hemsworth is not terrible, he just feels adrift. His Geralt feels like a man visiting his own story, rather than leading it. When the script gives you dialogue that sounds like it was assembled by an AI trained on Reddit fan posts, there's only so much an actor can do. And from the start, the show feels like it's forgotten what The Witcher even is. The sense of grounded fantasy, the moral ambiguity, the political tension, the philosophical undertones, all of that is gone. And in their place, we get a generic streaming adventure with modern dialogue, Netflix spacing, and a color palette that looks like someone applied the warm glow Instagram filter over every frame. Geralt's story this season is shockingly thin. He's wandering, searching for Ciri again, saving strangers again, and occasionally killing monsters barely. There's no real progression, no emotional arc. It's as if the writers built an entire season out of side quests. It's exhausting to watch him repeat the same beats, fight something, frown, mutter, and move on. Meanwhile, Ciri's arc with the rats is a perfect example of everything wrong with the show's writing philosophy. The idea of her joining a band of thieves could have been interesting, a descent into moral grayness, a way to show how trauma twists idealism. Instead, the rats are cardboard cutouts of representation. Each member is introduced with a checklist of modern identity traits, but none with real personality or story function. Their dialogue feels like improv night at a diversity seminar. And then comes the infamous relationship subplot. The show rewrites Ciri's connection with Missile from the books into something glossy, romanticized, and stripped of its dark context. What was once a traumatic, manipulative dynamic is now presented as tender self-discovery. It's sanitized in a way that insults both the original material and the audience's intelligence. It doesn't feel brave. It feels dishonest. Now, Yennefer fares a little better. She's off leading armies and plotting her next move against Vilgefortz, and for a few brief moments, it almost feels like The Witcher again. Her scenes are probably the best in the show, and they carry some of the show's only tension and visual flair. Anya Chalotra remains magnetic. She can sell a bad line like few others, but even she can't overcome the lazy writing. The show gives her immense power, but zero vulnerability. She's a strong female character in the most corporate, soulless sense. Invincible, unrelatable, and boring. And then there's the production. You would think that $100 million budget could buy some atmosphere, but season 4 looks cheaper than ever. Every set feels like it was shot in the same 3 sound stages, redressed to look different. The armor glows like plastic. The towns feel empty. The CGI monsters look like they wandered in from a mobile game ad. Season 1 at least felt like a living, breathing world. You could almost smell the damp forests and burning oil lamps. Now everything feels artificial, like a Renaissance fair cosplay filmed on a green screen. And it's not just the visuals that have degraded. The tone has completely disintegrated. One episode tries to mimic House of the Dragon's grim politics. The next turns into a bizarre musical episode, complete with animated segments. Like, what? The tonal shifts are so jarring they make you question whether anyone in the writer's room even spoke to each other. And then there's Jaskier. Oh, Jaskier. The once charming comic relief has turned into a walking Twitter thread. His witty banter has been replaced with cringe humor and modern sarcasm that feels miles out of place in a medieval fantasy setting. He used to serve as Geralt's emotional counterbalance, the heart to Geralt's stoicism. Now, he's just a noisy echo. He's talking to the audience instead of with the other characters. Even the action, the one thing The Witcher had going for it, is a shadow of his former self. Gone are the fluid, weighty, brutal sword fights that Henry Cavill spent months perfecting. In their place, we get awkwardly edited scuffles that feel staged and weightless. The camera cuts every half second, erasing any rhythm or intensity. It's like watching a trailer reel rather than a fight scene. And here's where it gets almost tragic. There are brief moments, tiny flickers, where the old magic actually resurfaces. The confrontation between Yennefer and Vilgefortz, for example, has actual tension. Geralt's quieter moments, when Hemsworth is allowed to simply be Geralt, they almost work. And some side characters, like Regis, for instance, manage to feel like they wandered in from a better show. Those moments are, in my opinion, the most cruel, because they remind you how good The Witcher could still be if anyone behind it cared. The real villain of The Witcher is not Vilgefortz or Nilfgaard, it's creative arrogance. Lauren Hisrich and her writing team never understood that adapting a beloved story is not about replacing the source, it's about elevating the source. Cavill understood this. He fought for it. He publicly clashed with the writers because he wanted The Witcher to stay true to Sapkowski's world. Dark, cynical, philosophical, human. The writers, in contrast, wanted to modernize it, to make it appeal to everyone. But when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. It's not that the show changed things, it's that it changed them without purpose. It keeps rejecting the heart of its own story. The Witcher's world was never meant to be a theme park of moral lessons. It was meant to explore what happens when monsters and men are indistinguishable. This adaptation doesn't get that. It keeps screaming about destiny and empowerment, but it's hollow. There's no soul left in that scream. Even Netflix seems to know that that spark is gone. The marketing was practically non-existent. No big press tour, no social media push, no event release, just a quiet upload, a few obligatory interviews, and the sound of silence. Fans did not revolt, they just stopped caring. Now that's worse than backlash. The true death of a fandom is indifference. And by the time the credits rolled, I didn't feel anger or sadness. I just felt nothing, which in some ways is the saddest outcome possible. I didn't hate it enough to rant. I didn't love it enough to hope. I just sat there thinking, so this is how it ends. Not with fire or fury, but with a shrug. And you know who's probably laughing right now? Henry Cavill. The man dodged a silver bullet. While The Witcher burned, he moved on to build the Warhammer universe, one he can actually shape from the ground up. He'll be fine. Liam Hemsworth, unfortunately, is now carrying a torch that's already burned out. So, should you watch The Witcher Season 4? No. Unless you're a completionist or you enjoy hate-watching slow-motion train wrecks, save yourself these 8 hours. Rewatch Season 1, play The Witcher 3, or better yet read the books. At least there Geralt feels like Geralt. Because that's the cruel irony, The Witcher had everything it needed to be great. The world, the lore, the fan base, it was all sitting there waiting to be honored. And instead of respecting it, the writers tried to reinvent it into something more marketable. They didn't slay the monster, they became the monster. What we have now is not The Witcher. This is not The Witcher. This is a Netflix product shaped like The Witcher. The name's there, the armor's kind of there, the swords and the sorcery, yeah, they're there as well, but the heart, that is long gone. So, the verdict. The Witcher Season 4 is a hollow, overproduced imitation of a once promising fantasy saga. It's watchable in the same way that a car crash is watchable. Grim fascination, nothing more. Liam Hemsworth gives an honest try. A few moments do shine, but no amount of sword singing can revive a show that's already buried itself.